So today I want to ask the question, is the listener right? Hey everybody, it's Stein, and today I want to talk about this question, or I want to raise a question. Is the listener right? So many of us who are making music and don't have much of a fan base and are maybe just starting, or maybe you're just, getting your gear together, or maybe you're just writing music and you don't have much of a platform yet. Maybe your social media isn't up and whatnot, but you're making music and you think it's good, and that in and of itself is something that I think is a success. But as you continue to make music, it is inevitable that you are going to face this period of time where you feel that you're happy with the music that you're making, that you like it, that it's a reflection of you. But you will find yourself without an audience. And that is because a lot of people who make music, they put it out, or they make music and they think that when they put it out that it's just going to catch and that it's going to find, magically find people who love it. And that's just not necessarily the case. It requires marketing and quite a bit of time of exposure. But here's the thing. I want to ask the question, is the audience actually right? Are they correct? And I'm asking this question in, I guess, opposition, or to challenge the notion that the customer's always right, that the audience is always right, the listener to the music is always right. And this is what I mean. You'll have certain people in the industry say, okay, let's say that your music reaches a million people. If they all love it, or if a lot of them love it, then it's good music. But if a lot of them don't love it, that means it's bad music. In the same way that you have a particular store, if you have a store with some products in it, maybe it's clothes or electronics or whatever, if no one buys it, then that means it's a bad product. Now, that's kind of a step ahead of what I'm talking about now, because let's say you have a very early stage music creator, recording artist, and they think if only people hear it, then they will like it and see the music for what it is, or for what the artist thinks it is, that it's good. But I want to put up the suggestion that even if people hear it, even if you market it correctly, even if you go through the pains and the time and the effort to put it in the hands and put it in the ears of a large amount of people, I want to suggest that even if that happens, there's times and there's situations where even then it's not appreciated for what it is. And this could be a host of things. I want to challenge the idea that just because someone makes good music, it doesn't mean that it's going to be popular. And even if it gets popular, meaning that it reaches a populace, it reaches a popular setting, or it reaches a level of awareness to a populace or a group of people, that even then it could be good, but not recognized as such. There's a lot of examples of this. One example that I think of that comes to mind is Bob Dylan's band, The Band. That's their name, The Band, if you haven't heard of them. And they have kind of a very unique sound. It's very kind of basic and stripped down. And they play live, they record live, like Van Morrison, for example. They just feel that the groove and playing together live is the best sound. And so they don't track in instruments, they don't play to a metronome, they don't record instruments, individually and then overdub. And there's this interesting story where the band is playing and with Bob Dylan. And the crowd is booing, this massive crowd, because Bob Dylan was a massive star at the time, but he started playing with the band, which ultimately kind of changed his sound a bit. But the crowds came to see Dylan, and what they got was something different. Now, this, of course, may be boos because these were fans of Bob Dylan and wanted to see Bob Dylan's kind of, singer-songwriter acoustic session. But the Beatles were in the crowd. And I think the Rolling Stones were in the crowd too. And they came up to the band after this crowd was booing, and they said, you know what, don't listen to them. This is good. This really is good. And that really stuck with me, because if you really believe in your music and you know it to be solid, you know it to be a good expression of you, and it's put together well, that it's this idea of whether something is good or not is subjective. And so if someone doesn't like it, that is their subjective opinion. But if millions and millions and millions of people don't like it, that's still a subjective opinion about those people. Now, I know this kind of gets into a spiral of logic, right? Well, if it's subjective and a bunch of people don't like it, how can it still be good? And if you're the only person that likes it, maybe your subjective opinion is bad. But the issue of what I'm saying for you, the artist, and really it's about me, is that I can feel good about the music that I make. I can like the music that I make. And that's the goal, is to strive to get to the point where I'm making the music that I truly feel represents me, but also that I like. And I could get to the point where I'm marketing well and market efficiently and to a large number of people, and yet still that music might not be appreciated now at the time of its marketing. It may come long after. The band's success and the band's impact, in hindsight, is massive. And a lot of bands, in hindsight, looking back on bands that influenced them, oftentimes quote the band. But at the time, they were booed. They were disliked, and their tours were often very unsuccessful. So let that be an encouragement to you that typically, if you make good music, the crowd will like it. But if they don't, they may be wrong. They may be wrong, and they may not understand. They may have bad taste. You may be ahead of your time. That's just my thoughts. What do you think? I know many of us out here have over grandiose ideas about our music, and we think it's great, and it really isn't. And sometimes when we go back and listen to our own music, we realize that it's not great. And we're like, oh, wow, I thought this was good at the time. Now I've moved on, and now I've realized that it's not that great. That happens all the time. But what if we reach a point to where we're making what we want? We feel good about it. We market it, and it's still not accepted. I say we keep going. I say we keep going and still making music. And I'm almost certain that someone out there will like it or care about it, whether it's popular or not. Whether on a mass level people don't like it, that's fine. But if you're making the music that you love and you feel good about it, I say keep going. And the people that you're looking for, the audience, they'll actually find you. Let me know what you think in the comments. Am I way off? Is this unclear? This is just me rambling about what I think right now. But let me know in the comments what you think, what your opinion is. And if you have any questions for me, I'd love to answer those. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you again next time.